So this is a view of the Kaiser in the Tyrol region of Austria. It's a sunset, well, kind of sunsetty. It's sort of a little bit colourful of the Kaiser from the top of the mountain opposite. This is like a ski lake where they store water for the snowblowers. So first things first, I think it's not quite level, is it? So I'm going to click on the, well actually, let's see what happens if we go down to the transform box and click on level. See if it does it for us. Nope. It often doesn't, so let's just go to the crop tool, click on the angle thing, and I'm just gonna assume that the water's level like that. So click and drag. There you go. So that should all be nice and level now. So, and whilst we're in the crop tool, let's just have a quick check at everything's square. I may make this a little bit more of a thin landscape, more of a pano crop than the full one, because the sky at the top and this very low foreground here isn't as interesting as what's in the middle. So we've got a bit of a wider than normal orientation there. I'll just hide a couple of panels actually. There we go. T gets rid of the toolbar, which is a handy little shortcut. Right, so we get the full view there. Right, first thing was to level it. Second thing, let's get this white balance right. Obviously there's snow there, so let's just click on the snow and see what that does. So it warms it all up. Now we know that these snow bits are actually white and the rest of it's correct with the white balance. I'm gonna click my finger on the Alt key and drag the whites to the right until we start to get things appearing, and that brightens it all up. Do the same with the blacks, but go to the left. Well, it's already quite dark in places, so if you just show you that again, you start to see bits of stuff showing up. That's when to pull back. And then we can do a bit of creative stuff with the shadows. We can either open them up so you can see more of the mountains, or close them down so they become more of a silhouette. I think the texture of the mountains is pretty beautiful, so I'm gonna open them up a little bit and do the same with the highlights. We can make the sky a bit brighter and smoother, or we can pull back a little bit of that sunset by bringing them down. So I've ended it with low highlights, high shadows, high whites, and the black's about the same. Let's have a look at clarity. So if we go to the left, we get a nice soft dreamy shot, which is probably good for your cards and things if you've got the right. It brings out the detail in the Kaiser really nicely. I quite like that. It gives it more of that jagged feel that you see when you're actually there. I mean, if you look at the shape of these things, they are stunning. Okay, let's have a look at colour. We could make it a lot more colourful just by playing with the saturation and vibrance. Maybe there, that kind of thing. Right, so we'll work our way down. I'm not going to play with the tone curve because of, well, let's just, if you wanted to add a little bit more contrast, you could do with the tone curve. Drag the low bits down, drag the high bits up ever so slightly. There you go, just so it's like before and after. Actually, that works quite well. Saturation, if you wanted to add more of an individual colour, so we wanted these purpley bits here to be a bit more saturated, just click on them and drag it up. If you wanted to remove something, drag it down. Maybe if you don't want the sky to be blue, or if you want the sky to be very blue. So all I'm doing is clicking on a colour up here, down reduces, up increases the saturation. Right, you can do that with luminance as well, so it just plays with the brightness. So if you wanted the blues to be brighter or darker, but you can see there that it's horribly noisy, so don't tend to mess with the blues too much. Split toning, if you wanted to warm the whole thing up a little bit, you could add a little bit of orange. If you want to cool it down a bit, you want to add a little bit of blue. If you want to make it weird, you could add a bit of green or purple or pink. Actually, that's quite nice, isn't it? And to balance it up a little bit, maybe a bit of blue in the low tones. What's it like with that? Without these little things are toggles. I think we're better off without, really, aren't we? Get rid of them. Just drag the saturation down to 0. So detail. So we'll get to the sharpening. So I'd like sort of fairly big sharpening. Mask off the areas like the sky which don't need sharpening by putting the Alt key down and starting masking. And then I tend to pull the detail down. If you have a lot of detail, it will start to give little speckled effects everywhere. This was probably shot on ISO 100, so there won't be any noise. Even if you look in these dark areas here, there's no noise there at all. So I'm going to leave those alone. I always like to do the profile corrections. Just it's for free, you know. Someone has gone to all the trouble of making these profiles, so you might as well use them. And then finally, bit of a small midpoint, big feather. Then you can work out the amount you want. Just draws the eye to the middle of the shot, and also with it being very bright on this edge here, you can darken that a little bit just by adding a vignette. If you've got some calibration data, this is a actual calibration of my 16 to 35 lens with a polarizer on. I don't think that's really done me any favour. Oh, the reason for that is I had a 10 stop on this, I think. So let's switch that off. Let's go to camera landscape. All these different profiles give you very different looks. Look, so neutral, standard, but I quite like that landscape look. Wow, look at that, fantastic. If you want to just check your white balance, just go and press W and click on the mountains. So that's a bit more realistic, I think. So there we go. If we have a quick review what we did, let's go back up to the top. Change the white balance by clicking W and clicking on the white snow. Played around with the highlights, shadows and blacks, clarity and vibrance, but left the exposure and contrast alone. Just added a tiny bit of a curve. Had a little bit of play with separate saturations, different colours. Added some sharpness. Did the lens corrections. And then added a vignette. And that was it. Thanks for watching.